2014, I think it was.
Yes.
You put Bitcoin into your portfolio.
Well, 2014 was our first blog. 2015 was our first white paper. And we gave our clients exposure to Bitcoin, GBTC, at the time the only thing we could use, in 2015, between $200 and $250.
All right.
Oh, by the way, we faced so much resistance.
That's what I was going to ask you about. Explain what the reaction was.
No, from everyone, including, we had to ask permission. We had to ask the New York Stock Exchange permission to put it in. I don't know all the rules and regs, but they said, okay, yes, but only 1% of the portfolio. But they didn't tell us that we had to sell it if it went higher. So we just never sold it until the end of 2017, where other regulations and the pushback from traditional financial service really hit. We were scaling our business, meaning our ETF business, which is all around all kinds of disruptive innovation. And so, boom, but we were not getting on platforms like Merrill, Morgan Stanley, and others, because our flagship had Bitcoin in it. And so we then decided, okay, we're going to keep it in next generation internet, but flagship right at the top, $20,000. Better lucky than smart.
You every year put out a big ideas list, and it's all the things that you guys think are going to be important for the next year, but also you highlight a lot of innovative technologies. And I think why you are so loved is because you're constantly thinking about where the world is going and which technologies are going to play a big part there. Bitcoin has been one of those technologies for a long time, but it is not operating in a vacuum. We now are seeing things like artificial intelligence and humanoid robots, even self-driving cars. And it feels like when I read the big ideas and listen to you talk, these things are all coming together. And so talk a little bit as to how you see Bitcoin's role in maybe the broader innovative technology bucket and how these things will all kind of work in unison as we kind of build the future.
Yes. One other pushback we got, just to say, when we first put it in, we were kind of new to the business, and the most famous ETF publication of the time made fun of us, saying, yeah, great marketing gimmick. And my answer to that was, great, they have no idea what this is. They have no idea. Anyway, yes, so we just put out earlier this month something called Big Ideas 2025, and we've become fascinated with the convergences among all of the technologies around which we have centered our research. So we've centered our research around the 5 major innovation platforms evolving today. So, as you said, Anthony, robotics, energy storage, artificial intelligence, blockchain technology, and multi-omic sequencing in the life science space. AI, if you look at the convergence chart in that deck, and compare it to the one we put in last year, what you see are the convergences are intensifying, with AI really the heartbeat of convergence, pushing everything along and accelerating the pace of change, and also accelerating the deflationary undercurrents. And I know this is very controversial, but accelerating the deflationary undercurrents that we believe are going to intensify. Deflation, not bad deflation, good deflation. When you cut prices, you enable more access, right? So if you look at the convergence chart, we've focused, of course, on blockchain technologies and agentic AI. And I'm sure people have talked about this today, no?
No.
Oh, okay.
Teach us, Cathie.
All right. Have you heard of agentic AI? Yes?
Yes.
So I wish when I started ARC, I wish I had an agent who I could just say, I want to start this company, tell me what I need to do legally, operationally, marketing wise, and you can do that today. And of course, DAOs, back in 2016, we heard distributed autonomous organizations.
Right. And I think that there's a lot of people blaming the recent price action on Bitcoin and all that on some of that uncertainty. But how do you see Bitcoin's future if we have a world where Doge is cutting government spending, if we have a world where these trade wars are playing out? Like how does your analysis of Bitcoin change?
I am certain about 21 million units. I am certain about that. And there have been, for those of you, I don't know if we have an economics-oriented audience here, but Art Laffer actually helped us write that first white paper on Bitcoin. And he said, after he agreed to collaborate with us, and he said, this is what I have been waiting for since the U.S. closed the gold window in 1971. He's been waiting. He's 85 now, I think. This has rejuvenated him. And he's proselytizing to the rest of the world, El Salvador, Suriname, he was in Argentina. And he's beginning to help them understand how important this source of certainty will be to them. And, one of the biggest things that has surprised us, when we were brainstorming about Bitcoin in the early days of ARC, our working assumption was that the early government adopters of Bitcoin would be in the emerging markets because they live in such a chaotic world that is, they are battered every now and then by the dollar's appreciation, and which, they've got a lot of dollar denominated debt. They run their countries on their own currency, and they're losing out constantly. So I've been very surprised that the U.S. really, yes, El Salvador was there, but the U.S. is leading the charge here, and I think it's going to serve us very well over time.
I want to talk about the economy moving forward over the next year, 2 years, 3 years, because I think that's going to have a very big impact on Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. Let's start with Doge. Mm-hmm. They say they're slashing costs. Every day they're tweeting some ridiculous use of taxpayer money. What is your confidence level in their ability to be successful? But also, how do you think that affects financial markets? So much of asset prices going up has been that the government is incredibly bad at their job and they waste a lot of money. So we devalue the dollar and asset prices go up. But if Doge is successful, does that actually hurt asset prices?
Oh, no. I actually think this is, I started in the business, I was in college in the late 70s, but really here in New York in the early 80s. And it was the Reagan Revolution. And he was changing. The 70s were just a horrible decade. And so there was a similar kind of an election and a willingness to change. I think we're well known for our Tesla research and our Tesla position. So I don't speak to Elon that much, but when we talked about this topic, I said, government spending is taxation. Government spending, that's how you sell this. Surface everything that you find out there because, we haven't done that. We haven't cleaned house in so long. And I think, Elon is relentless and he's got a boss who's also relentless. So I do think it's going to be successful. I think it's going to drive huge increases in productivity as well. So Reagan Revolution, I think this revolution will dwarf the Reagan Revolution.